Hello sailors! In this episode we head to the Isle of Wight for Coronation weekend and then travel west via Hurst Point to the pretty Bay of Studland. But first things first, it was time for new life jackets. New life jackets arrived, so Rob's just gonna check all of his and then get it fitted to his specifications.
Yes, thank you Gavin and James for teaching us how to do that, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah, so we're now allocating the blue one to you and the red one to me, and then we'll not have to adjust them very often. They'll just be fitted to us.
Exactly.
So we have to do the fist test, but I need to get a coat on underneath this, so it probably needs to be a little bit bigger, whereas you've got more room, so you can get a coat under.
Yeah.
Feeling good?
Yeah.
It's my favourite buoy.
Your favourite buoy? The West Cardinal.
Yeah.
Yes.
Isn't it the prettiest?
It's a lovely, really sexy.
This dog just falls asleep as soon as we set off. We're about 3/4 of the way now. Yeah, to the Isle of Wight to Cowes, and it feels really weird because it's only a 2 to 2.5 hour passage, and after the 8.5 hours that we did going to Portsmouth, it just feels like we've only just set off and then we're going to be getting there, but that's alright. After mooring up, we took Yui for a walk and got our bearings in East Cowes. The sun came out and we took a look at all the decorations for the coronation, which would be taking place the following day. Oh, what a difference a day makes! When we got to East Cowes yesterday, it was sunny, it was 18 degrees. I was in shorts and t-shirt, just working out in the sunshine, and it was glorious. And yet today, look, oh, miserable. And if we didn't have this one, hi, we'd probably be staying in the boat all day. But as we do, I need to walk her, so I'm going to make the most of it. Listen to some music, and when we get back I'm going to get a hot water bottle, I'm going to get her wrapped up in a towel, and we'll just have cuddles for ages. It'll be really nice. Everyone's got their flags up because it's Coronation Day. What a shame about the weather, but all the flags look amazing. There's supposedly a specific order that you're supposed to put them up in, and all 3 boats have them in a slightly different order, so only one of them can be correct, or none of them. But I might try and decorate our saloon when I get back and try and bring a bit of pageantry to reach out. Come on, Yui. Yui. You won't even look at me. Did you enjoy your walk? Did you? No, I didn't think so. Rob is using old invoices to try and make a spares list for everything that we might need on reach out. Meanwhile, I've been doing very important work, which is making reach out pretty for the coronation. I had to tear the boat apart trying to find where all the flags were, but there's twinkly lights there as well, which you probably can't see because it's still light, but she's all dressed up. And I think it's time on this momentous occasion to do the very British thing, which is
have a cup of tea
and a slice of cake. Oh. Good morning from East Cowes. Yeah, I really like just having a cup of tea and reading in the cockpit while the marina kind of comes to life, and watch the boats go, listen to the dawn chorus. It's very, very relaxing. But the plan today is to go... Someone's just taken their rib out. The plan today is to take the chain ferry over the River Medina to go and see cows. That's cows, C-O-W-E-S, but we might try and find some cows in cows if we can. Ooh, he made some wake. And we've got some boat jobs to do as well before we head off on Tuesday. We could have done them yesterday, but it rained all day and we didn't fancy doing them in the rain, so we're going to do them today. Looking forward to it and just kind of planning how we're going to get out of here when we do. Because when we arrived and it was high water, we thought we'd probably leave by reversing into this area and then going out that way, but we've seen this whole area at low tide and that is a very silly idea, so we'll probably reverse into this stretch of water here and then go out into the river that way. I mean, we could just reverse the whole way around and then straight into the river, but we'll see. I think that's quite a nice line into that area, but we'll see. I'll leave it to the skipper to decide. Hey Skip, I bet you he's loving that noise.
Quite big.
It is, looks like quite a nice one. How long have you been pumping for?
Not long.
Reason Rob is diligently pumping up the dinghy for the first time is because we have our first night at anchor coming up, which is really exciting, but it's something that we haven't done before. And like, we've never pumped the dinghy up, we haven't checked the anchor and stuff yet, so lots of things that we need to do before we can safely go to Studland and fingers crossed pick up a mooring buoy, but if one isn't available then we're going to have to anchor in the anchoring permitted zone. But yeah, lots of things to do before we can do that. The squidge test.
The squidge test. I think this is something you've just invented.
I think so. We've added some little sacrificial strips of Gorilla Tape onto the back of the dinghy because when we flip it upside down, where we want to keep it on the deck, we won't always keep it on the deck, but obviously when we're going to anchor we'll have to keep it handy. These bits of wood might rub and chafe against the material, so we've just put some strips on there. This is usually where I keep my my roving fender, but it's now going to be where we keep the dinghy. Very nice.
Are we in England?
It doesn't feel like we're in England. We're currently playing a game of Find the Pub.
There must be one.
They'll all be back in the town, but we'll find one. Don't worry. After yesterday's beautiful sunshine and feeling like I was in the Mediterranean, normal service has been resumed. Rain, rain, go away. What are we doing today? That's right. Because over that way is the Needles Channel, which is why we're going to turn around this. Brilliant job bringing us past Hurst Point.
This is why we come here at slack tide.
Yeah.
It's still like this, yeah?
Yeah, it's bouncy.
Yeah, that's it. why we come here at these times. Yeah?
Yeah, we're all good, just a bit bouncy.
Alright, we're punching through.
The plan when we went to Studland Bay was to get there nice and early while it was still daylight, pick up a mooring buoy, get Yui to shore, just row over, maybe go to the pub, have a pint and row back to the boat before dark. Didn't quite work that way. So the thing is, when you're learning about sailing and stuff, when it comes to mooring buoys, everyone says, well, go up nice and slow, into the wind, get your boat hook at the bow, pick up the mooring buoy, thread your line through, bring it back on board, tie it off, and then do the same on the other side so you got your two lines in case one line gets damaged. And then because I hadn't done it before, I was watching some YouTube videos and it was exactly the same. Go at the bow, get the boat hook, lift it up. Might be a little bit heavy, but you can thread your line through, do the same on the other side. Didn't quite happen. So by the time we'd been bounced all over the shop on the way over from the Isle of Wight, and it was already starting to get dark and a bit windy, and just the sea wasn't very pleasant in the bay anyway, but there was a few there was one mooring buoy still available, so we're like, great, we're gonna go for it. And Rob did a really good job getting into the wind and just lovely and slow, and I had the boat hook ready. I'm like, I'm gonna get it. I got it, and it wouldn't budge. And I was like, am I just being really weak here? Like, I'm pretty strong for a female. I'm lifting, and it's not moving. So I just yell back, I can't lift it. At which point, you were a bit naughty, you left the helm.
I did leave the helm to come and assist.
Yes.
In hindsight, I probably shouldn't have done that because I could have just used the engine to keep the boat in position. Yeah.
Yeah, but then
So,
you
yeah, my fault.
you tried to lift it as well.
I tried to lift it as well, and it wasn't lifting. It wasn't the type of buoy that we saw on YouTube anyway.
No, they don't. They don't do that round here. At which point the boat did drift back, and me trying to outmuscle a boat is just not going to work. So boat goes back, boat hook is off and off.
So you said to me, "Oh, I can't hold the boat hook," and I says, "Well, just drop it." Now, I meant drop the mooring buoy, not the boat hook. We need the boat hook.
Yeah, I take literal very literally.
Yeah, so yeah, again, just as leaving the helm was my fault, it's also my fault for being unclear with my instructions. Why would we drop the boat hook?
Yeah, boat hook was gone. Bye-bye.
Anyway.
And then there was a lot of swearing, because now we didn't have any option other than to anchor, and we hadn't actually used the anchor before.
And it was getting dark, and it had been a long, hard sail. So yeah, in my mind there were a lot of... But, you know, this is what you've got to do. You've got to adapt, haven't you? You know, the best laid plans are... What's the saying? What's the phrase?
Something about mice and men.
Plans always go wrong anyway. And it's your ability to adapt to the situation that is good.
So then we had to find somewhere to actually anchor, because at Studland, the reason they have the buoys there is to protect the seagrass. There's a big seahorse environment. So then we had to get out of that area, so we're much further out of the anchorage, so we're even less protected. And then I'm up at the bow, and like, you should just turn, put the turn it and drop the anchor, easy peasy. No, I then had to work out how to do that at the same time as the sky's getting darker,
exactly.
the wind's getting heavier.
And the depth indicator stopped working as well.
Oh yeah, the depth.
So I didn't know how deep the water was, which means I didn't know if we were going to run aground. I didn't know how much chain we needed to put out when we put it out. So yeah, I mean things were kind of going wrong quite quickly, and then
While I'm fighting at the bow.
whilst you're fighting at the bow, I noticed like 4 big black ribs zooming over to me, like in formation as well. I'm like, what the hell's this? And this guy, he was a soldier. He was dressed in fatigues. He's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm going to anchor. He's like, you can't anchor there. I'm like, well, why not? Because we're about to drop. I was like, what? Drop what? Lads! At which point I'm like, I'm not going to argue with them because there's like 4 boats of troops there, but I've got no idea what he's talking about. So,
at which point the anchor did work.
So then the anchor starts working and we dropped it anyway.
We're just doing this.
And then within about 45 seconds, the sky was full of lads jumping from an aeroplane.
It was raining men.
It was raining men, hallelujah. And they were parachuting into the sea. So that's what he meant when he was dropping lads. He meant, yeah, we're dropping men from the plane. So it's not the clearest of communication, but he was a soldier.
But it looked like some sort of World War II Hollywood epic. You know, we've got the white cliffs in the background, the darkening sky, the rough sea state, the ribs are shooting through. There's men falling out of the sky with parachutes, like silhouetted in the moonlight, and the wind howling. But in the middle of all that, it's just us two.
The 2 stooges trying to anchor. Now we have gotten a lot better at anchoring since then, because that was a while ago now.
Yeah.
So yeah, you know, you go through these trials and tribulations, but then you learn from them, and it becomes second nature. Mm-hmm. But it was quite funny, really, in hindsight. Because that was a lesson for us, but it was a lesson with all kinds of crap going on.
At the time, it was horrible, and I felt really bad and really stupid and like a bit useless. And like the thoughts in my head were like, how can you just like not even pick up a mooring buoy? How are you gonna like do the rest of this trip if you can't even do that? But it turns out it was just because we didn't know how.
Yeah, and now we know how to pick up those mooring buoys as well.
We will do more on that in the future.
Yeah.
But we had a nice big bowl of pasta, a bigger glass of wine, and about 3 hours sleep.
Mm-hmm. Perfect.
But as the sun rose, so did my spirits. And we continued west, waving Old Harry, Studland Bay, and our boat hook goodbye.